And, well, this is a little awkward. I'm Cleveland Payne, and this is Things You Might Not Have Heard for Wednesday, January the 12th, 2022. Now, yesterday I was presenting 8 things to talk about for Tuesday, January the 11th, 2022. And so, why the name change? Why the upgrade, if you will, or why the downgrade, if you will? So, what we're presenting today, very quickly, is a kind of a new vision of what we're going to do. Why is that? Well, someone I respect a lot in the industry challenged a bit of my branding and challenged a bit of the work I was doing and saying, dude, that's pretty good, but can you speed it up a little bit? And I was like, challenge accepted. So we're not sure about the name staying the same, but we will try to work on more things that are quicker and going away from the 8 things brand. We may keep that for a long form thing for the weekend. We may go from 10 to 8. But for right now, these are things that aren't necessarily worried about the rankings. I can tell you these were picked from the top 8 stories that we searched for today, and we just kind of went through the ones that were not mainstream media darlings. The biggest one that we're not covering that was covered all day yesterday was the win by Georgia over Alabama in the National College Football Championship. That came up in number 2, I believe. But these other 4 stories, just pick 4 for the day because we're trying something out to see how well they work out. So let us know what you think about the whole shebang. We'll tweak it as we go along. This is literally something that was kind of tossed at me as I was going to bed this morning. And so we're putting together something right now to make it all work out. You want to support whatever it is I'm doing, check out buymeacoffee.com/jclevelandpayne. With less stories, trust me, there'll be more advertisements. That's how things work. So the first story that we're going to talk about today of the 4 stories we picked is this one. First dose vaccinations quadruple in Quebec ahead of restrictions at liquor and cannabis stores. Montreal.ctvnews.ca is our source, and here's one that's a little bit interesting because what we had in the window of stories that picked the top 8 stories was this story, and somehow I chose another story about Quebec about to levy essentially a tax on people who are unvaccinated, and this essentially is another version of it. So we didn't quite super story it. There's no reason to do that anymore. But so we went with this headline here. And the big deal is because of the restrictions that are happening around Quebec and people paying more for stuff, people are getting that first dose of vaccination so they can hit the liquor store and, of course, get the weed. It's what they need to do. It is what they need to do in my bad French accent. So the second story we can pull on this one is LA cops ignored call about a robbery in progress because they were playing Pokemon Go. This is the first of 2 cop stories that did not turn out the way they should have. This one a bit on the funny side because 1, who's still playing Pokemon Go? Apparently LA cops are. And 2, why can they just put their phones down and respond to the call? Check out the source, rawstory.com, or just look for it on the internet and you can go deeper into the story. But yes, there are some people who are over the age of 8 who are playing Pokemon Go because you have to have a cell phone to actually play Pokemon Go. And it's getting people into trouble still. The story at number 4 happens to be, or it's my 4th slide, I should say. So that's what I'm looking at. It's not the 4th story. It's actually the 3rd story we talked about. Is North Carolina deputy placed on leave after off-duty fatal shooting in Fayetteville. New York Post is source on this one. This one will probably get some larger national attention coming soon because we're having not the standard amount of police drama and police fatality issues that we've had pre-pandemic and the extra special ones we had during the early parts of the pandemic. But now we're having a lot of things that are essentially easy to describe, easy to see as just cops being not so good at being cops. We had the other day, we in 8 Things Talk About, we talked about the Texas officer who was speeding and just goofing around, ended up hitting somebody, fatally killing him in that sense. A young officer there who had a great life probably coming ahead, and now his police life and maybe his life's gone is probably ruined from there. Here's another issue right here. It's go deeper into the story by going to New York Post and the source, but we're having a lot of issues right now that are popping up sort of in pockets of bad policing still. Unfortunately, the economy, the environment, the Omicron virus, all those things are getting all the love in the news. So do not forget, do not do not sleep on some of these other stories. I know people who are very good at keeping up with the downtrodden, the stories that aren't being taken seriously, and making sure that those people being taken care of would basically lots and lots of ridicule and lawsuits. So look for that. And the last story we have for the day, we just picked 4 of the top 8. We're going to work this thing out as time goes on. Alligator emerges from golf course pond eating huge fish. That's a pretty good headline right there, and it's a pretty good story. Bro Bible, our source for a lot of really hard charging news these days for some reason, is the source for this one, and it was in the range of the 8 things. So check that out. If you're just hanging out in the golf course, especially you're someplace where it's still warm and still swampy, which is a lot of places, I guess. You got to keep an eye out for those visitors that are hanging out on the course that may get in your way. And if you see a alligator come out of a pond, especially if he's eating a fish, you scratch that hole and go to the next one. 8 things to talk about is brought to you by a lot of folks. And today it's not even 8 things to talk about. It's things you might not have heard of or something like that. We're going to work on that. But all the work behind the Conversation Project and all the work behind everything I do for More Matter Media is sponsored, powered by you. You know, these things take resources. These things take time. These things take cash. So a great way to save some cash yourself and give us some cash is to just stop by. This is theconversationproject.com/Zenny. This is theconversation.com/Zenny. It's going to take you a link to the Zenny optical website where you can get great glasses for really, really great prices and great customer service and not have to worry about all the rigmarole of going to the store, which is a big deal. Number one, when there's not deadly viruses in the air. And number two, because it gets a little hairy when those people are pushing those really thick old turtle shell glasses at you. You can use a tool so you can see how you look before you actually buy them. And if you don't like them, you can return them. That's how things work in the real world with real good businesses. And the big thing about Zenny is that prices start as low as $9.95 for basic glasses. As I showed you yesterday, I'll show you again. These are my basic glasses that I got for the frames of $9.95 plus pretty simple frames. But I also I'm a big customer. I also have a few of those glasses as spares around because I tend to lose them. I have sunglasses in the car and at work. I have sports glasses in my gym bag. I've got all the things, and they can go from as crazy exotics as you want to, or simple frames and simple lenses. Check them out at thisistheconversation.com. This is conversationproject.com/Zenny. New stuff, new year, new fumbles, new whatevers. Something that we'll probably talk about a little bit more along the lines of the stuff is this story that popped in. It's going to post inside of the conversation feeds within about an hour or so. But this apparently happened yesterday and is now getting pressed now. This is my chance to kind of do things that you haven't heard of yet because it just came out. Press on his election lies. Former President Trump cuts NPR interview short. An interview with NPR was going on that was scheduled for about 15 minutes of airtime, 15 minutes of recording time. I think it might have actually been live, to be honest, because that's how he likes to do it. So it's been a 50-minute slot. Ended about 9 minutes in. It ended, I'll say abruptly, but I listened to the tail end of it. And when you listen to it, you hear a guy who's basically wrapping up because he's done. He heard a couple questions based on essentially saying that he was pressed on whether his endorsement would be based on a candidate's ability to sell the big lie, sell the fact that he lost the election, sell the fact that the election, well, that he lost, so the fact that the election was stolen. He wrapped up with some platitudes from some people who were doing great. He said, something like, I don't do what I want to, but people that do it, they're doing great. And then he was like, I'm like, thank you. And then I guess the host asked one more question. I was like, oh, well, I guess he's gone. And then they moved on to something else. Tea, hydration. So that's something that you probably haven't heard yet because it's just now coming down the wire, turning into a news story for the world. As you see, NPR tagged it at 5 a.m. Eastern time. So that's based on where you are. It's about an hour or so, 2 hours or so ago as it's done here. So there's that. Something you probably not heard yet. So, but you'll probably get a chance to deal with that tomorrow. And maybe we'll have a chance to talk about it tomorrow in this little thing here we're doing for the internet. Or maybe we'll find other stories that are more or less relevant to talk about. This was 10 things you might not have heard for Wednesday, January the 12th, 2022. My name, as it says down there somewhere, J. Cleveland Payne. You can find me on the internets at all those places. You can find me on the internets at various other places. You can also check out the more better or the 8 things to talk. That's what happens when you do things rushed. You can also check out the Conversation Project itself at thisisconversationproject.com. Now that we're doing some other stuff, all the stuff there is pretty much outdated, but you can check out our sponsors and see if there's another sponsor that you'd like to jump into. They're all affiliate links to the sponsors. So if you buy something, we get a little something. It costs you nothing more, and it gives us more room to run with. Also, buymeacoffee.com/JClevelandPayne. You see that on the scroll below me. That's a way to directly fund my caffeine habit, tea this morning. So you can check that out as well. And you can be a part of the conversation by following us on Facebook and Twitter. And this is Conversation on Facebook, Twitter, th_conversation. And when you do that, you'll see the stories pop up in your feeds about every 50 minutes or so. We post a new story. You just engage with it, like it, love it, hate it, share it. And the more engagement you give it, the higher score it gets and the better chance it gets to be here on the little rundown we have here. Like I said, this is a bit awkward because we're doing something new. If you're used to the 8 things from top to bottom with the engagement, obviously engagement is not going to work, but we're going to pick 4 or 5 stories within the range of 8. Probably we might extend it a little bit to see what's out there interesting that you might not have heard of, that might not got the mainstream run, or sometimes that are the biggest stories out there based on some insight that I think is insightful. But what we're going to get more of is less of time. Will be more pithy, be more on point. That is the point. But you get more. You're going to get more ads. I can tell you that much. There will be more ad time because I got less stories to talk about. With that, I say bid you adieu. Make sure you stay limber and stay hydrated and keep on staying motivated because it's a long road to hoe. We'll do this again. We'll see you tomorrow.